Hi, this is Blaze again. We're getting ready to frame up a cabinet, so we're going to show you how that's done. This is what we're building. It's going to be a coffee station or a coffee bar. So it's going to be 90 inches tall by 44 inches wide by the standard depth of kitchen cabinets, which is 24. So the first thing I'm going to do is rip my side pieces to 23 1/4, because once I put the face frame on, the face frame is 3/4 of an inch. That'll make it finish at 24 inches, which again is a standard depth of kitchen cabinets. Okay, so we just ripped it to 23 1/4. If you want to show the camera on this one. So it's at 23 1/4. So when it has the face frame put on it, it'll finish at 24 inches. Now we got to cross cut it to 90 inches. The way I do that is I measure 90. This way, and my fence won't cross cut anything. It doesn't extend out to 90. So what I have to do is I have to cut from this side. So I measure from this side to my mark at 90, and I have 6 1/8. Well, the thickness of the blade is 1/8 of an inch. So since I'm cutting this side on it, I have to not forget about this 1/8 of an inch. So again, I measured 6 1/8. So I'm actually gonna cut 6 inches off, and that's gonna put us right at 90. So basically I'm eliminating the thickness of this blade, which is 1/8 of an inch. Okay, you can turn it off. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk up to my other table saw that's set up for dados, for my cabinet backs and for my drawer bottoms. So there's the blade. It's actually a stacked dado blade. So it's actually 2 blades put together with probably a shim. I don't remember how I stacked it. And I have my fence set to set it in a certain distance, which I also can tell you in 1 second. So this is just a sacrificial piece just to show you what's happening right here. So that's what the dado looks like. And I said I would tell you the measurement. It is set in 3/4 of an inch from the back of the cabinet. Let's see that. Okay, so now I need to cut my bottoms. I told you earlier that the cabinet's gonna be 44 inches wide once it's built. But for the bottom, we need our bottom to be 22 7/16. And that measurement is to the inside of our dado. We don't want it to go past the dado, because then we'd never be able to slide the piece of 1/4 inch that we use for our cabinet backs into the dado or the groove that it made. That's good. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm laying out where our fixed shelf is gonna be. So if we go back to the picture, right here is gonna be a fixed shelf. Here's gonna be a top, and down here is gonna be a bottom. So I know I need to cut 3 pieces. We've already established that they need to be 22 7/16 to fit from this point to the edge. And I know that if you sandwich 2 pieces of this stuff together, 5/8 and 5/8 is supposed to be 1 1/4 inch, but because this stuff isn't quite really 5/8, it's all in millimeters because it's made overseas in Asia. I know that 1 3/16 will be 2 of these sandwiched together. So if we want our cabinet to be exactly 44, I have to cut my shelves, the width of them, at 42 13/16. And then when you add the 2 pieces, you add it all up together, you put it together, it'll be exactly 44 inches every time. So down in this bottom section, we're gonna have a shelf, and I want it to be able to be adjustable. So we're gonna walk up next to my line boring machine where it's gonna drill the holes for us. Right, okay. So here's my line boring machine. It's gonna drill all those holes. Believe it or not, we used to drill those holes individually using a jig, and this thing makes things so much more efficient. As simple as that, it just drilled 6 holes. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut 2 cleats that the bottom of the cabinet is gonna rest on. So I'm cutting these 19 3/8 of an inch long. So what these 2 cleats are gonna do is they are going to be attached to the bottom of the cabinet right here. And the reason why it doesn't extend all the way is because that's where our toe kick is gonna be, like on this cabinet. So back here, so when you're standing next to a cabinet, you're able to get your belly or your waistline closer to the cabinet so you're not always reaching over. That's the whole point of having a toe kick. And that's why I cut these and I left them shy, is I want to be able to make sure that I have enough room for your toes to stand underneath the cabinet. That's it. Okay, just to reiterate, I just ripped my 2 sheets from my bottom, my middle shelf, and my top at 22 7/16 because that is the different distance, I'm sorry, from the outside of the dado to the edge of my plywood, 22 7/16. And now I'm about to cross cut the sheets at 42 13/16 because we want the cabinet to finish at 44 inches. So you can see I got it set right at 42 13/16. I think you can see that. And again, the reason why is because 2 sheets of this 5/8 inch put together are 1 3/16 every time. Okay, so our cabinet is framed up and we're gonna measure it to make sure it's 44. And just like that, it's exactly 44 inches. That's what we want. Okay, so what I just did is I did not move my fence. I kept my fence at 42 13/16. What I'm making now is the toe kick and the back part that we use to screw the cabinet to the wall. The reason I used something wider, I need 2 3.5 inch rips, but I used a wider piece because it's very dangerous to cross cut something narrow because it could do this or it can do this. And if it does either one of those things, it makes it longer and it binds in the blade, and that's when you get a kickback. A lot of people have lost fingers that way or had a board, hit them in their abdomen. Is we're going to cut our back at a 1/4 inch material. So I measure the length. It needs to be 84 inches. And then the width is going to be 43 1/8. So let me write that down before I forget. 84. So believe it or not, once we have the back slid into the dados, the back is actually what we use to square up the cabinet. Okay, so we got the cabinet framed up, we got the back put on, and we got it squared up using the back to square it. Now we have to make the face frame next, so we're gonna get started on that.